Let's move on now to the political row over the latest WikiLeaks cables, which suggest that former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was a middleman for a Swedish company that was trying to sell its jets to India. At that time, in the 1970s, Rajiv Gandhi was an airline pilot. The cables quote a Swedish official in Delhi as saying that Rajiv's family connections were important to get the contract. In the end, the Swedes lost out, but today, nearly 40 years later, the opposition wants a probe, while the Congress is dismissing it as rubbish.
Time and again, every defense deal which comes into controversy has some Swedish or Italian connection and some connection with the family.
3 decades ago, some low-ranking official in some mission decides to write an unsubstantiated mail, and we decide to dignify it with the kind of time and space that we are giving to it.
Another defense deal is back to haunt the Congress. In the latest expose by WikiLeaks, a 1975 cable from the US Embassy in Delhi quotes a Swedish diplomat as saying that Rajiv Gandhi may have been the main Indian negotiator for Swedish firm Saab Scania when it was trying to sell Viggen fighter planes in the 1970s. The cable goes on to say that Rajiv Gandhi's only association with the aircraft industry, to our knowledge, has been as a pilot for Indian Airlines, and this is the first time we've heard his name as an entrepreneur. We would have thought a transport pilot is not the best expert to rely on in evaluating a fighter plane, but then he has another and perhaps more relevant qualification. But considering that the deal did not eventually go to the Swedish firm, nor does the cable talk of money changing hands, should the Congress worry?
Certainly an evidence of the fact that an impression did exist in New Delhi in the 1970s that if anyone wanted to do business with India, you had to come through a particular family.
Every time WikiLeaks came out with revelations concerning Indian politics, reactions have been somewhat predictable. Political parties against whom allegations are made usually trashes WikiLeaks, and their political adversaries demand answers. Reactions to the current set of WikiLeaks are no different, prompting many to ask, has WikiLeaks become a matter of convenience, political convenience in India? In New Delhi, Sandeep Hukan, NDTV.
And so, is this a storm in a teacup, or is this something that does merit a full-fledged investigation, as opposition parties like the CPI and the CPM are demanding? Well, we have our panel that will join us shortly. You can take part in this debate as well via our second screen app on your iOS or Android devices and vote on the questions that you'd like us to ask tonight. Well, joining us this evening from the Congress Party, we have its National Spokesperson and MP, Renuka Chaudhary, from the CPI, National Secretary and MP, Mr. D. Raja, and also former Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, Ambassador K.C. Singh is with us. Let me ask Ambassador Singh first. Praveen Swami wrote on this yesterday, saying there's a lot of smoke in this story, but no fire, not even the hint of a cigar. Do you agree with that, or how do you look at it?
See, firstly, the tendency of any political party is to attack the messenger when the message comes. So I think the problem is not WikiLeaks, because a number of these WikiLeaks where I figure for a subsequent period, and I find they're reasonably accurate. They're accounts of the US diplomats who met you, and largely factual accounts of whatever they have heard. So let's leave that aside, but let's go to the context that 75 was a period when the emergency was on, and the Gandhi couple that was calling the shots was not Mr. Rajiv Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, it was Sanjay and Menika, and everybody knew it in town. They're the ones who were really into the political process. Rajiv Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi were approachable. They were, Tavleen Singh's book gives an account of this. They were sociable, they were meeting their friends, etc. So it's quite possible that in this town, which has all kinds of wheeler dealers, agents, people wanting to get work done, they would have bumped into someone, and they would have perhaps exchanged information on what is happening or what should be bought or not, or planes. It is a fact that Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was very fond of cars, of aeroplanes, etc., etc. It's possible that this exchange has taken place, but he was not a public servant. He was not in the cabinet. Nothing was ever bought by the government. In fact, the deal was struck later by Mr. Morarji Desai when the Jaguar deal was signed. And it was quite obvious to anybody that because of American participation in the Swedish plane, and because we had tested a nuclear device in 1974.
So you feel it's more of a storm in a teacup? It's being blown
more
out,
of that, yes, and it doesn't really, it doesn't merit. It's interesting, but it doesn't merit a full-fledged inquiry or anything.
Okay, but Mr. D. Raja, your party has asked for a full-fledged inquiry. You say that a body like the Vigilance Commission, for instance, should look at this matter. But may I ask, what would they investigate? The principal character in this, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, is dead. This is an incident that happened nearly 40 years ago. The Swedes never got the deal at the end of the day. What would be investigated exactly?
Firstly, there cannot be smoke without any fire. Logically, I do not understand, I do not agree. There can be smoke without any fire. That is number one. Number two, there are two issues. One is we have been witnessing scams one after another with our defense establishment. We had witnessed Bofors scam, then we had witnessed coffin scam, submarine scam, now helicopter scam. One after another, these scams are taking place with the defense establishment. It worries not only me, it should worry the entire country. Why it is happening? Why there cannot be any transparent mechanism which can deal with defense deals without middlemen? Even if you employ middlemen, that should be very transparent one. So there is no transparent mechanism. That's what I find. This is number one. Number two, the new revelations are coming, keep coming, and the country like ours cannot close its eyes to whatever appears in the media or whatever appears in the political life, and we will have to respond to it. And as a political party, we cannot
investigate,
respond.
Mr. Raja? What would you investigate?
Related to power. So we are asking the government to respond. The Prime Minister and the government should explain to the country why these revelations are coming. Is there any veracity? If there is no veracity, government should say. If there is any veracity, government should explain.
Okay, let me take that to Renuka Chaudhary.
This is exactly we have been saying.
So the CPI, Renuka, is saying that the Prime Minister should at the very least explain what is the context of these WikiLeaks. Is there any truth to this? What is the true story? The Congress has already dismissed this as rubbish. What would you say to the CPM's request today? The CPI's request.
I think we should look at it on a broader canvas. If you look at it, the cable itself categorically says that there was nothing in it, no additional information to either refute or confirm. No equipment was bought, and this is history. And all right, if we are going to take cognizance of this, saying that this Desage man is what he says largely is right as it was articulated earlier, if that is the truth, then nobody wants to look into the fact that what George Fernandez has been accused of. I think that is a far more terrifying thing. No, it's not. No. We are looking at the broader panorama of what this WikiLeaks. CPI wants an inquiry into a WikiLeaks which is categorically stating that they have nothing to confirm. So this is one of those, kites flying around that we are actually addressing and having a national debate on TV like this. So why would you not want to discuss that? To say that a so-called confirmed socialist was actually soliciting funds from the CIA to topple a government in India.
So you believe that, but you don't believe the Rajiv Gandhi cable.
No, I'm not believing. I'm not believing
no,
it.
Because you can't decide. It can't be suited
to have
a
national debate on this issue. Why is it that you're not looking at something so terrifying that CIA would actually think of funding?
But if you don't believe Rajiv Gandhi was a middleman for any company, why believe anything on George Fernandez? You take a decision on WikiLeaks.
Why is it? If you are addressing this on national TV, why aren't we addressing that?
Because George Fernandez was not the Prime Minister of
So
India.
now we know.
Yeah, because and Mr. Rajiv Gandhi.
So you allow a foreign agency to topple India's government?
No.